Hey there guys, this is Toasty Fresh, and this is my first video really where I've actually shown myself to the camera. It's always been against the backdrop before when I've talked, so a little bit nervous about doing this really. I had to set myself up for it, and this is just a reply video to a guy I've just sort of not talking to, but I've talked to him a little bit, but watched, which is a guy called Ehrgeiz. Just hope I've pronounced that right. And he did a video on a response to other people's videos on a subject of how video games saved my life. Which, well, for those videos, it's kind of a dramatic title, but like I've gone for more just, my title's probably going to be how video games helped me in my life, because he did a video and about how video games helped him with his problems within his life with Crohn's disease and stuff like that. And it was a really interesting video, you know, to see what other people, you know, their experience with video games and things like that. And he did a little call out video for other people to come and share their story. So I thought, why not? I'll go ahead and do that. And mine's not really as dramatic as that. And him, along with some other great guys who I've seen on YouTube, like Lifespiller79 and Ehrgeiz, who I watched, who probably Ehrgeiz is the one that's more strikes a chord with me. The stuff he was saying is pretty similar. Some of it's similar to my kind of story. And but yeah, I'll just go ahead now anyway and stop rambling and just tell you my sort of experiences with games and how they helped me in my life. Because growing up, I was a very socially awkward kind of kid towards, when it got towards the high school, which is secondary school over here, but high school in America, and primary school, which, you know, elementary schools in America, you know it as, but in primary school it wasn't, the problems didn't surface kind of as much. It was when I sort of got to high school I found that this kind of social awkwardness I had affected me a lot more. And it was kind of something that I never really talked about. I never got help or tried to get guidance with it or anything like that. I think maybe now if I'd looked at it, I might have had social anxiety, because I don't know if it went beyond just mere shyness, because it's kind of weird. It was sort of something that was kind of, it felt like to me it was sort of out of my control. If I was with some people and I wasn't, which was most people, if I hadn't got to know them and spent time with them, I just physically couldn't speak. It sort of felt like, more or less, I couldn't speak my mind, and it was kind of like something holding my tongue and I just couldn't let it out. And it meant that I didn't have a lot of friends in high school and things like that, but it also led to a lot of frustration for me, because it was something that I used to hate about myself. I absolutely hated that I couldn't just be like what I sort of you considered as normal, or like what some other kids were like, how they had a wide circle of friends and things like that. I mean, it's not as though I didn't have any friends in the world. I had going towards the mid to the end of high school, I had one good friend. And, you know, I had a couple of friends in primary school, but they all moved to different schools and things like that. But it kind of led on to other problems for me, because I built up a lot of anger, mainly towards myself, because of this kind of inability I had to mix with other people very well. I always felt that I was kind of like a bit of an outsider. I was never bullied. It was never a kind of bad situation where I got harassed, or school was a complete misery for me, but it was kind of very aware that I was on the outside looking in, kind of thing. And with my personality and stuff like that, people had said to me, you know, oh, you're a pretty funny guy when they got to know me. And some people used to say, God, why can't you, you know, why aren't you like this around everybody? And that's what frustrated me. I thought, well, you know, I could be somebody that people could laugh. I could have a laugh with people and things like that. But I just had this thing holding me back. And I used to hold up a lot of anger about that when I was younger, which it wasn't a kind of thing that I'd project onto other people. I used to project it more onto myself because I thought it was I'm the one who was to blame, to be honest. It was only me, only myself to blame. I sort of had the thought of it's your own problem, so you have the solution. And I used to beat myself up a lot about it, like just working myself up, and it built onto other things like I did self-harm as well when it got to a head, when I got really frustrated with myself. Sometimes I would self-harm a little bit, and I was just lucky that for myself it wasn't something that I really did to an extreme like some people have done when they've had the kind of feelings like similar to me, or if they've had bad experiences in their childhood or how they were brought up or whatever. Mine was more of I did it like some people, they do it as a release, and they say they do it when they cut the cells or when they feel that cut. It's so that when they draw blood or whatever, it makes it's like a release. It's releasing the pent up feelings. For me, it wasn't really about releasing. It was more about I used to do it as a kind of punishment, to kind of punish myself for how I thought of myself, because I thought I should have been stronger than what I was, and I should have been more outgoing and just talk to people. But it wasn't as though I didn't want to. It was just something that it was just out of my control. That's where the frustration came into it, because it took a while for me when I got into high school to actually make a couple of friends and things like that. I was a loner for quite a bit of, like maybe a year even. In most of my first year, I used to just wander around by myself, because I just wouldn't go up and talk to people unless it was something I had to do for class or things like that. So, and that's where gaming and games kind of came in for me, because it provided me with something to do, something that took my mind off it when I was out of school, where I could go and do something and it'd take my mind off it, and I'd just engross myself in a game, and I wasn't thinking about that. I wasn't thinking about, oh, you should be doing this, or I should be more what I kind of saw as normal. And that was how video games helped me. I mean, I started with a SNES, but that was in primary school when the problems weren't kind of as apparent. They didn't come out as much. And it was more when I had a PS1 when I was in high school. And my brother got the game, and it's one of my all-time favourite games for the PS1, which was Final Fantasy 7, which was my first ever role-playing game that I ever played. And he'd bought it because it had 4 CDs. He just saw it as value for money. This game must be a long game. And he wasn't an RPG person. He didn't really like them and didn't get them. So he let me borrow it. He said, oh, you might as well play it because I'm not going to. And boy, I was away. I got engrossed in that game and absolutely loved it. And I lived that game until I got right to the end. And I'd beat Sephiroth. And once I'd done that, and then later on they brought out Final Fantasy 8 and 9, and I completed them all. Eventually even I got Final Fantasy 6, for the PS1, and went back because I'd never played any games, any role-playing games for the SNES before, because not having a lot of money, I'd not had the money to go out and buy them and try those kind of games. So that was my first look at Final Fantasy VI as well. And it was just a real games that just took you away, and I played Jay Cocoon and some other games like that. I mean, there was other more mainstream games like Gran Turismo and things like that. I mean, not saying that Final Fantasy didn't go mainstream, but they weren't as popular back in my day. It was something that was more maybe seen as geeky. That was like when geeky wasn't cool. And they just took me away, and I'd had a real sort of affinity for the characters, especially in Final Fantasy 7 and 8, where you had Cloud and you had Squall, who were both kind of these independent, self-contained, especially more Squall through the beginning, because he was this kind of contained character, and he only let himself get close to people later on in the game. And that was kind of how I am, and how I still am now. I don't like getting close to people too much, and I am very contained with my feelings and things like that. But yeah, great games like that, and then leading on to the PS2 and playing all those kind of games, and gaming just helped me just relax basically, and engross myself in a pastime that just allowed me to forget my problems for a little bit. It's pretty much the same with films and watching anime and things like that. And I used to read a lot, and like Stephen King, James Herbert, and quite a few other books, fantasy novels, things like that. And also listening to music as well, just stuff that helped me just stop thinking about things so much. And that's why I think video games helped me, because maybe without video games, maybe I would have been harming myself a lot worse than what I actually did. And it's like, to this day, my mum doesn't know that I did self-harm at points. I mean, it was nothing major where I was really injuring myself or anything like that, but and it was pretty contained. It was in places that nobody could see, because I knew it was something that wasn't, it's something I should have been doing to cope with it, but it was just something I got into, and thankfully I got out of that and learnt to do more positive things, such as gaming, just to stop from doing that kind of thing. And even going into my present life, because it wasn't that long ago that I still had problems like this, and but it helped me with a lot of things. When I decided to move from my hometown, and I moved to a bigger city, Liverpool, to be near to a girlfriend I had, and it helped a lot with the homesickness as well that I had, and again, more of the feeling of isolation, because I didn't have any friends apart from my girlfriend in Liverpool. So there was a lot of times when I was just on my own, so games really helped then. I had a PS3, and my brother bought me Oblivion, which was one of the only game I had for a bit for my PS3, and what a game, because it was absolutely massive, and I just absorbed myself in going around and killing goblins and just all sorts, joining the Fighters Guild and things like that. It was just, that was another amazing game that just, if I wouldn't have had that game, that would have been, I maybe would have gone stir crazy, just staying in my flat in Liverpool when I was between jobs and things like that, because I qualified as a decorator and stuff like that, and I was working. It was like subcontracting, so sometimes I'd be working, sometimes I'd be having a few weeks off while I waited to get another job with the agency and things like that, because I was doing agency work. So video games really helped me out then as well, get over that time I wasn't with my girlfriend, because she was still living at home, and when I didn't have anybody else to talk to and things like that. Because I sort of distanced myself from my friends. Well, the one friend I had, he'd sort of gone on and got his own life as well, which is part of the reason I went and I thought I might as well move to Liverpool, because I didn't have much, to be honest, going on. Both my brothers had their own lives, so I thought, well, hey, why not? I might as well. I've got nothing really to tie me to my hometown. So that's why I moved to Liverpool. So games kind of helped me there with that as well, because just the little bit of isolation I did feel at times when I wasn't around my girlfriend, games just helped me out immensely with that. And even now today, it's like doing the Let's Plays I've been doing and the collection videos and things like that. It's just helping me. It's kind of like a form of rehabilitation for myself. It's getting me to speak out sort of publicly in a way, and trying to get myself to be more outgoing and be the person that I more want to be rather than the person that I am some of the times now. Before it was most of the time. And I have noticed it working, and it is like that. It's my attitude's a lot more positive, because still at times I kind of have like mood swings as well, where sometimes I'll just have days where I'm really negative about everything. That's probably when you won't see me post anything, any videos, or I won't really be doing much posting on Twitter or anything like that. And that's when I'm in one of the dark days. And that's when gaming helps. So I'll just go away and I'll play a game. Like I've been playing Canim. Is it Canis Canim Edit or AK Bully? That's what I've been playing at the minute. Because I've been having a few days of a dark-ish kind of mood recently. So that's why I haven't started a Let's Play yet. And that's what's been helping me out at the minute. It's an absolutely amazing game. I don't know why I haven't played it sooner. But yeah, that's how games have helped me anyway. And how they continue to help me to this day become more of an outgoing person and stuff like that. And I'm going to actually try and... Because one thing that I've never really got into doing, which is the online playing, because of the hang-ups I have with talking to people. I've never really had an online presence on games. I mean, for the PS4, which I've got a PS4, I've been on Warframe and a couple of games, but I haven't even been on... I've got COD Ghosts, but I've not really been on it. And part of that is because you'd think it'd be easier online. You think... A lot of times you think that kind of problem will disappear when you've got the anonymity of the web, but it's still something that follows me even when I go online and things like that. So sometimes I still am quite reserved when I'm online, even typing things. I won't type what I fully would do if I would known somebody well enough to be comfortable with them. So probably what you see on Twitter, it still is more reserved than what I may put on there. So, but hopefully I'm getting better, and I'm becoming more the person I want to be, and that's, I'd say, is thanks to gaming, really. It's thanks to computer games that I'm doing these videos and things like that. But I just want to say, yeah, that's my kind of story, and that's my experience of video games, that they helped me with that. They also helped me bond with my elder brother when we didn't really get along when we lived at home, and he was kind of an asshole, really. He was a bully, and he used to torment me and my brother. I mean, I was the youngest, so I didn't get it as bad, but he used to make my other brother's life hell, more or less, and I got some of it too. And it helped me sort of get a bit more of a bond with him when he moved out and he sort of grew up a bit, and I used to go over to his house and play games. He had an N64, which I didn't have. And I'd just take turns playing Legends of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and Diddy Kong Racing, and Mario 64, and games like that. And he had some fighting games, Fighter's Destiny, which I've got again now myself. And it kind of helped me bond with my brothers. That was because we weren't really a close family. And probably one of the main things that bonded me to both of my brothers were that we used to play video games together every now and again. So that's kind of my experience with games, and that's where my good memories come from with gaming, that with how they helped me with the few problems that I did have growing up. And just had great memories of things with my family and things like that, playing games. So yeah, that's my life in gaming and how they help me. So hopefully some other people will do videos, and because it's interesting to see what other people's experiences are with video games. That's why I love watching the videos by, like I said, Gerber, Lifespiller79 and Ehrgeiz. You know, it was good to see that kind of thing, because there were similarities, and I'm not trying to compare what happened, you know, my life with theirs or anything like that, but it's good to see different people's stories, and how, you know, every person's story is a little bit different, but how there are a lot of positive stories out there to do with gaming, and it's not all negative and that gaming affects your life negatively, because I already knew that it isn't true. You know, there is a lot of people that it can be a very healthy thing. But yeah, I don't think I'll waffle on much more, but I'd just like to thank anybody who watches this video and leaves any good comments or anything like that, or follows on from what I'm doing, and any other people who've done the same, and, you know, post your story, and you know, share some stories around about gaming and things like that, because it'd be really interesting to see if anybody has similar kind of experiences to me, myself and other people. Anyway, that's all I've got time for. I've been Toasty Fresh. Thanks for any subs or likes or anything like that. It means a hell of a lot to me, especially with like the things that I've said. It means a lot more than a lot of people realise. And any kind words that anyone's ever given me on Twitter, that's Toasty Fresh as well. If you look that up, Toasty Fresh or Toasty Fresh Play. And just add me or whatever, because it's good to have a lot of people to reminisce with, and you know, just have a chat with every now and again. But yeah, thanks a lot guys for any positive feedback, and I look forward to doing some other videos for you guys soon. Thanks a lot, I'll see you next time.